Hi everyone, this is Nikki Rowland for Shimmerz Paints, and just before we start, I've recently lost my Instagram account and my Facebook account, so I have a new Instagram account. You can find me at Nikki Claire Creates. So yeah, I am creating for Shimmerz Paints today, and I'm using this lovely rainbow cut file that was part of the April Color Kitz. It's available to purchase in the store. I've cut this 3 times on my silhouette machine, so I've cut it in 3 different sizes, so a small, a medium and a large, and you can see that at the moment it's all still on my mat. I've taken it all off now and I'm just arranging it onto my background so I know roughly what I'm going to do. So I plan to stagger the rainbow, so they're going to be 3 on the page, from small at the top to large at the bottom, and I'm going to paint them. But I want something in the background. I don't want just a plain white piece of cardstock because that's boring, so I thought I'd put some light colours on the background just to make my background slightly more interesting. So I'm using the packaging technique, and I've gone for 2 really light coloured paints. I've gone for Meet Me at Sunset, which is an Inklingz, that's the yellow colour, and then I'm going for a really pale pink one, which is called First Blush, and that is also an Inklingz. I will list them all down below because I've used quite a lot today, because I'm using a lot for the rainbow. But they're the 2 colours that I've used for the background. So I just literally wanted my background to have some colour on it, just not to be stark plain white. So that's what I'm doing, and I'm aiming for a vertical design from top to bottom. I'm using the packaging technique and my paintbrush to manipulate the colour and get it in the places that I want it. So I'm just applying with the packaging technique, adding water, adding more paints, smushing some more. I'm now adding some splatters as well in both of the same colours. I'm not too worried about the colours mixing together because then I'll get a nice kind of peachy orangey colour, but I'm not too bothered about that, whether I get that or not. So I just wanted to have some pale colour going on in my background so that I can then put my rainbow on top. So you can see how I'm arranging the rainbow there. I'm going to get that stuck in place before I paint. There's a reason for that, because I stripe on foam pads, and I'm going to paint them once they're on my layout. So you'll see once I've got my all of my rainbows in place, then I will start painting. The reason for that is because when they are raised on foam pads, they're really easy to paint. Because they're away from the surface of the paper, it means that I have a gap between my piece that I'm painting, so the cut file, and the background. So I'm very unlikely to touch the background with my paintbrush. So I find anything that's raised on foam pads is far easier to paint than anything that's stuck flat. So that's why I do it like that, and that is exactly what I'm going to do today. So you can see that I'm spending some time getting my rainbows stuck in place with foam pads, and I have done that there rather than make you watch me take all the backs off of those foam pads. So my rainbow's in place, so now I'm going to aim for, I'm going to paint them. So I'm aiming for dark colours at the bottom, moving up to light ones towards the top. So these rainbows only have 3 stripes each, so with times 3, that makes 9. So that's too many colours for a rainbow, so I'm getting creative with exactly which colours it is I'm going to use. So the lower rainbow, the bottom one, I'm going to use a really dark purple for the first one, get to a lighter purple, and then move on to a teal. So the 3 colours that I have used there are Honeymoon Inklingz, Purple Peony Creameez, and then Lapis Dance Creameez, that's the teal colour. And then I'm going to move on to the blues, so I'm going to do blues and greens on the second one. But just for now, you can see that my rainbow, I haven't painted all the way to the left, and that's because I'm going to put my photos there. So I have already left my paints sitting with some water in them, so they are all nicely dissolved a little bit on the surface, which means I have a nice rich paint for each colour. I got all my paints out earlier, but then as I was going through I realised that I would be one colour short for my rainbows, so I went and found a pale blue, and that one is called Frosty Buns, and it's an Inklingz, and that's the one I'm putting on right now. And then I move on to Blue Lagoon, which is a kind of tealy green, and then moving on to Lettuce Get Together Creameez, which is a lovely green colour, kind of like a lime green almost. It's one of my favourite greens. So that's the top of that. That's going to be the top of that second rainbow. I've also got the hearts to paint, but I'm going to come back to those later. At this point in time, I didn't know what I wanted to do with them. I thought I might go for an accent colour, but in the end I decided to go for the darkest colour on each rainbow, I think. No, I didn't quite stick to that formula, but I picked a colour from each rainbow and coloured my hearts in with those. So for the top rainbow, I'm using Daffodil Yellow, which is a bright yellow for the lowest strip, and then Good Ol Summertime, which is like a reddy colour, and then I've gone to First Blush again. That was for the top one, so that's an Inklingz, and that's the one I used for my background as well. So the two colours in the background, I've only used one of those on my rainbow, the pink one, the First Blush. It's a really lovely, very pale pink. It's a really pretty colour to work with, very subtle and lovely. So that's my rainbows painted. I've still got to deal with the hearts. So here I am picking a colour from each rainbow to colour the hearts with. So for this one I've used First Blush, and then for the blue one I'm going to use Frosty Buns, which is the nice light blue colour. So I felt that my first rung of my rainbow on the middle was a bit light, so I gave it a second coat of Frosty Buns, and then did the hearts as well. I think when I first painted Frosty Buns, because it hadn't been sitting in water for very long, it wasn't as rich as it could have been. So now it's been sat with some water in it for a while, it's nice and rich. And really good for painting with. Okay, so then the bottom one, the lower rainbow, the lowest rainbow, I've gone for the darkest purple. It looks really dark on the video, but actually it's not at all. It's a lovely purple, and that's Honeymoon Inklingz. So I've done that heart in that colour too. I'm obviously covering up the other side of the purple rainbow with my photos, so I didn't paint all of that, and I didn't paint the heart either. So while that's drying, which will not take long to dry at all, I won't use my heat tool for this. While that's drying, I am going to focus on the rest of my layout. So I have this sheet of Paige Evans Bloom Street paper with all those swatches on with lots of words. I've had it for a while, and I haven't managed to use it. I've looked at it several times. I've cut bits out of one. I had two sheets, so I've cut bits out of one sheet, but not actually managed to use it for anything. And the B side is lovely, but because the colours are gorgeous on the other side, on the A side with all the tabs on or the swatches on, I really wanted to use it, but it just hasn't worked in everything that I've tried to do before. So I'm going to make it work this time. So first of all, I'm going through and I'm cutting out a load of the phrases to go on my rainbows. So there, I'm aiming for colour on colour, so I'm aiming for 3 kind of dark blue or purple ones on the bottom, 3 blue and green ones for the middle, and then a yellow and some pinks for the top one. So that's what I'm aiming for. You can see I've layered those out, and they are looking okay. They're actually a bit fat, so the phrases themselves in their original form are too wide. So I'm just trimming them down. I'm using my scissors to do this, and I'm going to distress the edges of all of those as well. And then I'm going to stick them at various points onto the rainbows. I also want to make a feature out of these tabs on the sides of my layout, and you shall see what I do with that in a moment. But at the moment I'm still trimming those phrases. I love how they look, they're really cute. The top 3 say Capture Beauty, Love Grows Here, and Dance in the Rain. The middle ones say, how's it growing, chasing rainbows, fun memories, and the one at the bottom say, rise and shine, everyday magic, make time for joy. So they all work, they're all lovely sayings. Paige really has a lovely way with words and phrases. They're not too over the top, they're not too gushy, they're just lovely. Okay, so you can see that I cut out a load of my tabs and I've arranged them over the sides of my layouts, and I've done those in colour order. So I've literally done 2 lines, I've kept them at the normal width, and I've attached them to the sides of my layout, and I've stitched through them with some white thread and a zigzag stitch too. So I've distressed the edges of all of those as well, but it was really boring to watch. I actually cut a big chunk out of this video because I was there for like 40 minutes or something doing just those side pieces. So you're lucky you didn't have to watch all of that, but that's what I did. I cut them out, I arranged them in colour order, I distressed the edges and I stuck them down, and then I added stitching as well. So now I'm just going to do with my photos, I'm just going to mount them both onto some purple cardstock. It's just plain cardstock, so rather than use pattern paper this time I've gone for plain cardstock, which is not something I do that often actually. I normally like to have patterns behind my photos, but on this occasion the purple worked really well because I have purple at the bottom of my layout, so I wanted to keep everything at the bottom in that purple shade, or shades of purple. So I've mounted them both onto purple cardstock, or lilac cardstock more like, and I got one of the dots from one of the packs, and it's kind of a purpley colour. I'm going to put it at the bottom there. It says my heart, and I have another one as well which has a heart on it, and it's kind of like a very light bluey grey colour, so with a heart on it, so that's going on too. I also have some fab acrylics by a company called Bramble Fox who are in the UK, and they went so well with this layout. I hadn't set out to use them on this at all, but I was just reaching around looking for some bits, and I found these by Bramble Fox, and they're just brilliant. So I have 3 white clouds. One is an open cloud, and 2 well, one is solid and the other one is solid but with raindrops cut out of it, and then the sun, which sits perfectly on one of the clouds. So that worked so well with this layout and the rainbow and the colours. So I was really happy with how that turned out. That was like a happy accident really. And I added some embellishments to the bottom left of my photo. So I've added a butterfly and some flowers and a camera, and that's it really, plus some gold thread. That was, I wanted to keep all my embellishments purple down there because that section of the layout is purple, and I'm kind of going for a colour on colour theme here. And now I need to deal with my title. So I got to this point and I was like, oh, I've got nowhere to put my title. I do this a lot, and I should have learned my lesson by now, that really titles, especially big ones, need to go on early before I fill up the rest of the page with all of my embellishments and photos. And so I have managed to make it work. I want to use the phrase make your own rainbows. So I have pulled out those really cute rainbow tiny alphas by Pink Fresh Studio, noteworthy collection, and I could only make rainbows out of those. I couldn't make your own. So rainbows is in multicolored letters, and that's over the bottom rainbow, and then the top 2 are Thickers by Amy Tangerine, and they are really cute actually, and small, which is really good. I love small thickers, they work so well. And there's a set that had white and blue glitter. So the white ones I've got make your in the white, and then on the next rainbow down own, and that worked really well because of course it's blue, and then rainbows is in the multicolored. So make your own rainbows works really well. And I'm just writing in my journaling inside the rainbow there. It reads, you are so sad that school is closed and that you can't see your friends or perform in your school play, but you are being brave and getting on with it and looking forward to the day things are normal again. Keep smiling, sweetie. Okay, so that is me done. Thank you so very much for joining me today. Don't forget that if you place an order via the Shimmerz store, enter my name in the comments to receive a freebie. Okay, that was Nikki Rowland for Shimmerz Paints. Happy scrapping!